Hello and welcome to Faith Matters. This is the show where we look at Liverpool life through the prism of faith and belief. And our theme for today is spirituality, faith and the creative arts. And our guest in the studio is Reverend Laura Pasterfield, who is an arts minister here in Liverpool. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to begin, Laura, by telling our viewers a little bit about your background and maybe how you came to be a reverend, because you seem very young to me for the job.
Well, thanks. I grew up in the southwest, and my parents were both artists and met at art college, and grew up in quite an arty family. Both my sisters went to art college, and so did I. Although actually, initially one of my sisters tried to do an Arabic degree, much to the dismay of our family. But she ended up seeing the right path and going back to art college. So we all grew up going to sort of arty events, and we were very creative, I guess, in terms of family life. Although we did have a sort of slightly religious aspect in that my family, mainly parents, went to church. But for me, that kind of faded away when I got to the end of my teens. And then I started to pursue going to art college and ended up at Central St Martin's in London.
And that's kind of like the Oxford of art colleges, is that right?
Well, yeah, I wanted to go to what I thought was the best art college.
Damien Hirst went there, and Tracy Emin,
and Guy Gormley, Anthony Gormley, yeah. So there were quite a lot of, there's quite a lot of kind of big names in the art world that went there, and I was attracted by London, and I was from the southwest where there wasn't really a kind of exciting city life, so I was looking forward to moving there. And during that time, I wasn't really going to church or anything like that. I just didn't seem that, I guess, religion had any relevance to my life. And what I was excited about was kind of, I guess, contemporary art and the kind of deep thinking that went behind all of that.
And parties.
And there was a bit of partying as well, I'll be honest, and I think, just the thought of religion, it just, didn't pair with that at all. So I kind of did the 4 years there, made some brilliant friends, and really enjoyed my time there, actually. But when I came to leave, I wasn't really sure quite which direction to go in. And actually, during my time there, I'd spent the last year specialising in animation within the field of graphic design, actually. And so I was doing lots of illustrative work for short little animations and things, and thought that maybe what I wanted to go into was animation. Although I realised as I started to pursue that I got a kind of short job working with an animator on her short film that she was going to tour around Europe in different festivals, and I was making some of the characters for it. But I realised then that if I was going to be serious about animation, it would be a few years working for an animator, probably for no pay. And the prospect of that, I thought, I don't love animation this much. What I really loved was the characters and kind of exploring the characters and really the humour of it as well. So I ended up moving back to the southwest, to Plymouth, where I'm from, and moved back in with my parents and kind of just thought, oh gosh, this is all a bit dire, and ended up kind of getting a bit involved with the church again. But I guess partly that time I was out of work and not really sure what my life was for. It was a period where I started to ask, I guess, the bigger questions of life, like what's my purpose? I was fit and able and young to do all kinds of things, but I just didn't know what, couldn't decide what. And so started questioning a lot of that, really. And it was really through getting involved with the church and actually having a vicar there who seemed to be the only person who got where I was coming from. And then after doing a short course that he'd invited me on, I kind of came out of it thinking, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with my life, but I think I want to sort of give it to God. I think I really believe this. And that started on my journey to then pursuing ordained ministry.
So you got ordained, you went to college, you got ordained, the normal kind of route, but you didn't lose your love for the creative arts and the kind of creative culture?
Well, no. I think for a very short while, I felt like, because as a Christian, you are called, part of what it means to be a Christian is to sort of give up everything and follow Christ. And I think I'm perhaps for a little bit sort of took that too far and
kind of youthful enthusiasm.
Maybe missed the part.
I remember that. Yeah.
I think that I kind of missed the part about finding your true self in Christ. So not denying all that you are, but actually using all of that for and kind of finding almost truer things about yourself in following God and following Jesus.
So now you're a curate in which is like a trainee vicar, baby vicar, in Kensington.
Yes.
At what church is that?
It's All Saints Parish.
Yeah.
So we're across Kensington, Fairfield, and Edge Hill, and it's a very diverse parish we have 2 worshipping sort of centres, 2 church buildings, and it's, I mean, the demographic is it's part of the top 1% most deprived parishes in the country. So we deal, I guess, with a lot of people who are struggling with substance abuse. We're also one of the areas, particularly Kensington, is where the government place a lot of asylum seekers. So I run a group for women asylum seekers.
Okay.
So it's lots of social action.
You do a lot of creative things there as well. You run a choir.
Yes, yeah. So I started up a choir because I think that there's lots of statistics about singing and choirs making you feel good and helping people through depression and all sorts of things. So part of it was the joy of just coming together to make a noise. And actually, I think lots of people don't think they can sing, but when you put a lot of people together, you can make a really quite brilliant sound.
A joyful noise, as they say.
Yeah.
And so what other creative things you've been bringing your creativity to the parish in a way?
Yeah, I think because it's my default position, I use it across lots of things. So I ran a course which looked at sort of spirituality and the arts through contemporary art in a women's female sort of hostel. So when people come out of prison, they're put into hostels, and this is a women's bail hostel in our parish. And I kind of ran a course where we made crafts and talked about how we responded sort of emotionally and spiritually, and then also at the same time looked at contemporary artists.
Okay, and so tell us about Baltic Blessings. You've started this new initiative in the Baltic Triangle called Baltic Blessings. You know, what is that?
Okay, well, Baltic Blessings is, I'm very lucky in my parish that they've released me for a day a week to sort of develop my big passion, which is about bringing together spirituality and the arts. So I decided, I guess, after meeting with various people, that the Baltic Triangle was a place in Liverpool that was full of lots of innovative, entrepreneurial businesses, lots of creative industry based down there. And I kind of thought that seemed to me like a good hub and a place to sort of base myself. So the idea is that I'm there each week trying to sort of gradually build a community of people who are interested in connecting those 2 things, the arts and spirituality.
And how's it going? What do you do? I understand you base yourself in Unit 51.
Yeah, so I mainly sit in a cafe having nice cups of tea and coffee and things all day. But I try and get around a bit as well to other cafes and things. I mean, not having one of the joys of actually not having a base, not having my own sort of unit or something, sort of frees me. I have to then sort of be around and about. So one of the main things I'm doing at the moment is I write a blog every week where I normally look at something kind of a cultural point of view, or something that's been happening in the news, and maybe just an exhibition that's going on, something creative, and then sort of speak into that, maybe a kind of Christian thought that I've had, or a spiritual idea, something like that. And then also the other part of it is doing events. So I want to kind of gather a kind of portfolio of different projects that have gone on down there.
And what's the long-term vision for you, do you think, with this? Do you see this something, you know, obviously for Liverpool, but a bigger thing for you in the future, do you think?
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. I think for me it's
the
about...
bishop's watching this. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's do my sales pitch.
Yeah.
But for me it's about 4 things, which is head, heart, hands and help. So the head part of it is about really kind of engaging intellectually with the bigger questions of life through art, and then also sort of Christianity broadening the way it engages with the world using art as a kind of medium for that. So that's the sort of head part of it. Then the hands is all about head, heart. The heart is about kind of creating sacred spaces there. So I'd love it if we could have sanctuaries, places of peace, maybe meditation sort of times, and linking with businesses that would be interested in doing that would be really interesting as well. So the hands part is about making and doing art. And I think for me, part of my belief is about being made in the image of a creator God. And I want to be creative. I think that's part of what we're called to. as Christians. So I love the idea of making something beautiful down there, or creating something that's provocative, thought-provoking, whatever it is, and then sort of using that as a way of engaging with spirituality. And then the final part is the help. So also the vision is to sort of bring together people who are, I mean, it could be from my parish that are, I guess, in social need, and there may be people in the creative industries who want to help or be involved in transforming those maybe difficult situations, and just sort of bringing the two together.
Oh, we didn't exactly say the Baltic Triangle, just so people know. I mean, many people will know, but it's Liverpool's creative zone, isn't it?
Yes, well, yeah, that's definitely how I see it. And the Baltic Creative itself was set up about 10, 15 years ago, I think, something around that. And it was a group of people who were interested in giving young sort of entrepreneurs sort of more affordable space, and helping them sort of start up. So it's got that kind of entrepreneurial spirit really there. And there's lots of people there who are kind of interested in, I guess, innovating, trying new things and taking risks.
Well, thanks, Laura. We're going to come to our commercial break now, and then when we're going to come back, we're going to talk about some of the deeper issues around the church's engagement with the creative arts. So see us after the break. Welcome back to Faith Matters for our second half, where we're talking about the creative arts and spirituality and faith with Reverend Laura Pasterfield, who is the pioneer minister for the Baltic Triangle and for the creative arts generally for Liverpool Diocese. We've been talking about your background and what you're doing down in the Baltic Triangle, or attempting to do, because you haven't been there long, have you? So, and it's these things don't come easy, do they? Yeah. So, but I'm going to take you on to some bigger issues now, if I can, and the bigger questions. You know, why is it important for the church to engage with creative arts? Because, you know, some people who kind of work down in the Baltic may see you wandering around and, you know, doing bits and pieces as you're doing things. What is this girl doing here? You know, and what's the point? So, what is the point?
Well, I think the church, relating to why should the church be involved? I think from the church's perspective, definitely I can speak of when I was an art student. I think I would have never probably darkened the doors of a church, and it just seemed, as I was saying before, like it was very irrelevant in my life. But I probably would have been quite willing to engage in deep and meaningful questions if there had been someone there that I kind of respected or admired that was of a faith position. And I think really there's something about the church being behind its walls, kind of staying behind its walls, that really is doing it a disservice, because I think actually the church has lots of brilliant things to speak into all kinds of contexts, particularly the arts, from my point of view. And I think we can be doing a lot more to sort of engage with people who are in the creative industry. But it's not just that I think that the church should be reaching out to the arts more. For me, it's about a more kind of deeper theological stance, where I believe that as being part of a created created order, that God has given us all the gift to be creative, and that the church can learn a lot from the creative arts, and that
So it's a two-way thing.
I think, I do. I think that we can. Certainly, it can enhance worship. It can push you out of your normal praying kind of practices. And there's something about the arts that's always, I guess, there's this idea that you can be bold and ask questions and go to places and push boundaries and kick against the social norms that the church, I think, could be doing more of, and actually has a lot to speak into.
I mean, historically, the church was the great sponsor of the arts.
Absolutely,
going back, somehow we've lost that.
And I think that's a big shame, actually, because I remember kind of starting at church and having this massive disconnect. I've been in this art world where I felt like I was on the brink of exciting contemporary thought, and visually, you know, things were really exciting in fashion or in design. And then getting to the church where actually my whole sort of life had almost been transformed and come to life, but yet the church was sort of this dusty old building with people who had posters in Comic Sans from the 1990s, and I thought, this doesn't make sense if I believe that God is the most exciting thing. and that my faith is the thing that transforms me in the world for the good, then why isn't it looking like that? Why isn't it feeling exciting?
I think one of the issues perhaps is that, in a certain corner of the church, that what we've done is Christianise the arts and create our own kind of version of everything because we're kind of scared of what's outside. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
And so what we create, like Christian music, what the Americans call Christian contemporary music. I mean, it's just awful, a lot of it, isn't it? Let's just be.
Well, I wouldn't like to comment there, Keith.
No.
But of course, no. No, I think there's lots of things that I've had this disconnect with. I think there's definitely, for me, it's not music I'd necessarily choose to listen to, or certainly I wouldn't. I think some Christian art can be really a bit trite or something. Not kind of. I think just not exciting or dangerous, or not making enough social comment. And so I think there's a lot that the church can learn from the arts, but I guess it works the other way around as well.
That's my next question, really. What has the church got to give? When I first started in my role in the city centre as pioneer minister in the city centre, somebody actually said to me, I don't know what you've got to offer me, which was the most important question that I was asked actually in those early years, which then I spent a lot of time trying to work that out. But what has the church, and what do you have to offer those people that you will encounter in the creative world here in Liverpool? The church in general, and you in particular.
I think as I said, sort of still see myself as a creative person, so I feel a bit like I've got my feet in both camps, and I think always I definitely as a kind of artist, and when I was with other artists and doing creative things, I think one of the reasons why doing art things feels so exciting is because there is this sense of freedom. Like, you can push and you can go as far as you like, and I felt like we were always trying to ask a deeper question, or dig further and go deeper, or just simply I guess push boundaries or hold a mirror up to society, or any of those things. And I think that what I found when I came to faith was that I could still do that, but I suddenly felt anchored. And I think when you're anchored, you feel like you can actually go deeper because you're not blown by every trend. And I guess one of the things I felt when I was in the art world was you can eventually become disillusioned because there's always something new coming in. There's always someone saying something different or new or challenging any previous idea. So I think what my faith has done is anchor me, and I think where the two cross over is in that kind of questioning, and I think that there's something in the mystery and kind of unknown of the Christian faith that is so exciting, and I think there's the pushing of boundaries and asking questions of the social norms in art, and I think that's where they sort of meet, and I guess it's in this mystery or sort of mystic area.
What does that look like? Give us some examples.
What, in terms of art or in terms of faith, or both?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just thinking when I was talking about music. I was thinking, as I said that, I was thinking that there are artists who are Christian artists. Music is something I know about perhaps more than the visual arts. But there are Christian musicians, but musicians who are Christian or have Christian backgrounds. So Mumford and Sons would be the classic kind of example. They have Marcus Mumford had a very distinct Christian background, which informs their very creative work. Yeah, he's not saying, here I am, I'm a Christian producing this stuff. Is that true for the visual arts? And any examples you could give?
I guess if I take an example of contemporary art and maybe a local one like Gormley's Iron Men or something like that, or actually another of Gormley's pieces that's in Coventry Cathedral, and it's called, I think, Transport or Transportation or something, and it's a figure that's suspended and hanging in a crypt underneath the cathedral, and it's I think. His rationale for it is that he says, our bodies are the thing that transport our soul through this life, and so I think one of the things that's interesting is if you were to look at that from a Christian point of view, I think I'd be saying, I sort of agree, but actually I think our bodies have a more significant role than just being a vessel to transport our souls. So I don't think that's quite what you're asking, but I guess what I'm saying is that I think there's a lot that's in art already, contemporary art, that Christians and the Christian world can speak into and actually challenge. And I often think, why aren't Christians making more kind of exciting contemporary art, and why doesn't it have a more public forum? Because I just feel like we have a lot to say. And
you're still doing your sketching and doing bits and pieces.
I mean, I won't pretend that my artwork's particularly highbrow. I think I love sketching and drawing still, and I really enjoy doing that sort of thing. And I just do bits of graphic design work as well.
And you're a comedian, stand-up comedian.
Well, I've dabbled.
You said you've been kind of like coming to Liverpool, you know, the city of comics.
Yeah.
That you've kind of been slightly...
I haven't got that proper Scouse sort of deadlaws. I'm definitely more of a reserved Southerner. I think I've got to break out of my shell a bit more to make it up here.
Are you going to be doing any stand-up soon?
Well, maybe it's about time I started branching out again.
There's a guy called Alan Finnegan, actually, who was on a previous show.
I've met him, but I'm too scared to tell him I've done stand-up, because I think he'd be like, "No, you haven't, love. What are you talking about? You're not even funny."
He's a Baptist minister, isn't he? Yeah. Maybe you should do like a double act. So we've got a couple of minutes remaining now. Just tell us what specific things you're going to be doing in the next few weeks down at the Baltic.
Okay, well, actually, just talking about stand-up stuff, one of the things that I have been starting is my YouTube channel, where I've been having more light-hearted, kind of get-to-know-me videos that are only kind of 1 minute long.
So the Baltic Blessings YouTube.
Baltic Blessings sort of asks questions. It's based on the 36 questions of how to fall in love. I don't know if you heard about this. Okay. It was in the New York Times years ago. Anyway, there's 36 questions. Go and have a look at the YouTube channel, Baltic Blessings on YouTube. And then there's the blog, of course. So I write that every week, and it's normally, again, kind of posing questions, but done in kind of a light-hearted, hopefully humorous way.
And you've done your eggs.
And yeah, so we did painted eggs at Easter. And then decorated a tree on Jamaica Street with all the eggs, and lots of people came in and did the workshop over the course of the week. And
very quickly, you're doing peace doves.
Yes, Doves for International Peace Day, and that's all going to be happening next week. So for lunchtime every day next week, we'll be in Unit 51 making origami, silver origami birds to celebrate International Peace Day, and then hanging them in there, suspending them.
Laura, it's been great having you on. I mean, we could have talked for another half an hour at least, but we'll have you back on, maybe do a bit of comedy. Thank you for coming on. See us next time for Faith Matters.